can. Hello, good evening. I see that Neon Imam is here and Thomas is also here. Please confirm if you can hear me so I know that I'm audible enough for everyone. Can anyone hear me, please? If you can hear me, please. Okay.
I can hear you clearly.
All right,
I can hear you clearly.
Thank you, Thomas. Welcome to this discussion. I hope that others will be joining us soon. We should start in about 4 minutes' time.
Can I sit down in that place? You're in your
All right, good evening again, and welcome to this discussion session. I see that Barrister has also joined, and yeah, I see Joseph Ogunguzi too has also joined, and then we have Thomas and Imam. One of the attributes of people who will really bring about transformation is keeping to time, right? So whether it's just one person or just two persons, I have a feeling that it is okay for us to start. Making sure to do a recording here so that we should be able to have this in a way that we can also share, right? So it's about, I'm looking at the time, it's 8:01. So if I give just 2 extra minutes, then by 8:03 we should start right away and get right into it so that we wrap up on time and then people go about to have a very good night rest. Welcome, Barrister. Good to have you here. So I will just give a minute or two and then we start. Yes, Adoyum, good to see you again. It's been a very long time. Good to have you here. And Sir Elijah Numba, welcome to the discussion. Good to have you here.
Yeah, good to see it. It's been a while.
Yes,
Well
very
done, sir.
long. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so yeah, like I said, we're going to start by 8:03. I also mentioned earlier that one of the key attributes of people who want to bring about transformation is to keep the time. So good that we have our brothers here, and I think it's fair if we go into the conversation. I'm hoping that we'll have others join us as well. However, the number that we have is good enough to have a very meaningful conversation. So I'll get right into it. And this is the Transform Talk with Jeremiah Ulaa. My name is there not because I am just the person who bring about transformation, but just that I set up this call. A lot of the ideas, a lot of the conversations will come from our panelists and then people who are also here to drop in a word or two. So I will go into the talk. So first of all, I'll introduce our panelists that we are expecting to have. We are expecting to have Barrister Amos here. I'm sure that I saw him earlier. I'm sure he's still here. We're expecting to have
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
welcome, Barrister. I'm listening to have Becky here as well. Hopefully she joins us. She's the CEO of Mindset Reorientation. It's one of the new organizations in Benin that is trying to reorient people, change mindsets, and kind of support in one way or the other that they can. Right. And then Amos Smith is also one of the public speaking guys who have gained a lot of experience in school and on the street to be able to chip in a word or two when we discuss transformation. And then Bestu Kotong is one of the rising web guys in Benue, talking about programming, talking about social media, marketing, and expertise. He's one of those guys that are really trying to help in developing the skills of people across Nigeria. Hoping he chips in, he chimes in and drops a few words to support the cause. And then Elijah Numba is one of the financial expert guys working in the FCT, hoping that we'll also get insights from his experience and part of the things that he has been able to follow up with the current trend of Nigeria, the society in general. And then Thomas, who works with the bank, but I call him a public analyst because he has a very good grasp of what's going on in society, how he analyzes things, and then the expertise on building trends, doing analysis across board. He's the brother to Barrister Amos, who is also a unionist, who has done union across some levels, who is a barrister by profession and has been able to say a few things. I've been able to step in to be able to be a good model in areas that he has had opportunity to. So all of these guys put together, I'm hoping that we'll have a very, very meaningful conversation. So I'll give you a background to the Transform Talk here. The idea is there's a cry that people are seeming to not notice. You see that the complexities of governance in Nigeria has really, really caused a lot of changes, right? We have a lot of behavioral changes, whether positive or negative. There are a lot of behavioral changes that we see. We A lot of things happen on social media, which is, I'm mentioning social media because it's like the thing that is always in our faces, right? But a lot of things also happen in the background that are not on social media. You see, a lot of people are not on social media. You go to the north to discover that the larger population are not even on social media. So if social media has been able to influence the world so badly, and then a lot of people who we see that a lot of people are not on social media, imagine if a lot of people imagine if more people on social media, right? The bad influence can be bigger. So it also tells you that if you flip the other side, if the influence of social media is better, is good, it means that if more people were on social media, will have better influence from social media. But we know what's going on these days. And check this out. Nigeria has the largest population of youth in the world at a median age of 18.1 years. That means about 70% of the population is under 30 and 42% is under the age of 15. Now, the overall quality of life for the population is of concern. Yeah, we all know that. If you check theconversation.com, you'll see the details of this. So imagine having the largest population of youth in the world, but you and I know how the system in Nigeria is. Now, one artist dropped a song which day in one Benue artist, and all that he put together in one verse was the controversial stories that have been on the Benue Facebook space. We know how a lot of these things happen. We have read some of these stories where people insult a lot of people, and they go and check. These are the youth, right? Now you wake up tomorrow and you say we are not too young to rule. But then let's check our records and see if we are really, really fit to rule. I know a lot of people who have lost jobs because of their social media posts. I went to the Israeli embassy at some point to participate in a competition, and then a lot of the social media profiles were brought up. If you have any post that incites violence or insults people, I mean, it shows that you have questionable character, right? So it's a worry that we have the largest population of youth in the world, but then development is so backward. The involvement of youth in this activity is so backward. Some are not involved because they feel it's very terrible. They have been ignored. I mean, their voices are not being heard. A lot of things, right? And then we see that the role of local government is very. Now, I'm talking local government now. Reason is that we have local government elections coming up, right? So it might be like jumping from Nigeria and then moving to local government is a big jump. But the local government elections are in our faces, right? I can bet you if you go out and interview a lot of youth and ask them who is the flag bearer of APC in their local government, they don't know who is the flag bearer of PDP, who is the flag bearer of ABGA, who is the flag bearer of whatever political party in their local government. They don't even know because they're not even concerned, right? They don't even have a business. I mean, they claim to not have a business with all of that, but then tomorrow the same government that you don't have, you claim you don't have a business with, knowing anything that goes on, you criticize them, right? So I'm not saying that the government has done so well, but I'm only saying that it starts with understanding the level at which we are supposed to be involved, right? Now, the social media space is big enough for us to be able to do a lot of sensitization. Now, I'm hoping that at the end of this thing all, the goal is to have an accountability court. I'm going to discuss that when we come to next steps. And then in this episode of the Transform Talk, we aim to explore critical issues surrounding youth involvement in politics, particularly as it relates to the upcoming local government elections. Now, this discussion will delve into the strategies for societal transformation, how to ensure the elections are peaceful and transparent, and what to expect from the next set of LGA leaders, right? Now, I have a concern about this LGA thing. Now, the reason I have this concern is that federal government just signed the autonomy, right? The autonomy policy. So you see that LGAs are going to have a lot of resources at their disposal. But the question is, the few persons that you have seen that have gotten the ticket in whatever political party, do you see them? Because this will be like the first set of LGA chairmen that will lay hands on that money, like handle it at the LGA level. So the question that is if the federal government facilitates it quick enough that this happens like right away. So do we see them as mentally prepared to handle that? Are there fears? Do we have systems that are going to make it easy for them to perform well as youths? Do you think that if we stay away from these guys, if we don't present ourselves to be able to support one way or the other, do you think that they are going to do well? These are things that hopefully we should be able to respond to in these conversations. And then hopefully that these conversations are, as they're being recorded, we try to disseminate them in whatever way that we can so that this message reaches out to a lot of people. So I'm hoping that a lot of insights will come out of these conversations. Right. So where do you think Benue State is headed? Right. So before we go into the questions for today, because our panelists are going to be answering a lot of questions, I'm going to be calling them out to answer some questions. But before we go into the details of those questions, I would like us to respond to this. Where do you think Benue State is headed? So I'm looking at the participant that we have here. So my first the first person I'll call is Amos Uwe. Amos Uwe, in 1 minute, where do you think Benue State is headed?
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me. It's quite an omnibus question, but in the light of your introduction, I think Benue State is I want to be optimistic. We are heading in the right direction because at least we are talking about having an election at the local government level, which is very important. You see, to me, the local government and the state elections are even more important to the people, as important, if not more, than the presidential elections. Because what happens at the state level is 60% or 70% the good work of whoever is the leader of the state or the leader of the local government. So I am aware that elections are coming up at the local government this month, and I'm aware that political parties are ready to participate. The ruling party and opposition parties are feeding candidates for the election. So I think it's a step in the right direction. And in the general body politics, I don't think we are looking too good. I don't think we are looking too good because we have been in the news for a lot of controversy with politicians. At least I'm aware of the faction or seeming faction in both the ruling party and the opposition party, which is bad.
Okay.
Hold
on. I like the direction. Put a pause on that, and then I will come back to that because that's an interesting part that I would like to when we delve into the question and answer thing, right? So yeah,
very well.
Right. So the next person I'll be calling here, I see Bendo Akume. Bendo Akume, good to have you here, right? So where do you think Benue State is headed in 1 minute? Bendo. I hope network is okay. Okay, so we don't waste too much time. All right, the next person on our participant list here is Bestin K2. So Bestin, in 1 minute, can you tell us where you think Benue State is headed?
Okay, good evening, everyone. Please, could you please confirm if you can hear me?
Yes, please.
Okay, yeah. So I'm sorry for coming late. I had some few technical issues. Yeah, so it's a privilege to be here actually. Yeah, so about your question, there are so many factors involved. So from what I see going on in Benue, I've not seen a plan that our leaders are using. So most times we just see things, a few things change, and then we think that always hope that it's going to be better. So, but most times we don't see it happening that way, that in a way that it will last long, that will be sustainable. So if you ask me where we are heading to, actually, for me, that has not been clear to me. I have not seen a plan actually that we are working with. Our leaders are working with for now. So
okay,
yeah,
all
that's
right.
what you said in 1 minute.
I might cut you short, but I like that. Well, you're trying to be optimistic as well, but at the same time, you're flagging the fact that you don't see a plan, right? So a lot of things are happening, but there's no clear plan. There might be a plan, possibly. Let's be optimistic that there's a plan, but then it's not clear, right? So I like that part. We'll come back to that line of thought. So I appreciate that. So yes, Sarah Amos, welcome, sir. Yeah, we're trying to respond to where do you think Benue is headed, right? Before we go into the question and answer for our panelists, right? So, but I'll come to you. So let me ask Do Yim Gyong. Do Yim Gyong, what do you think about this? Where do you think Benue State is headed? 1 minute.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah. Okay. For me, I've seen a hope, at least for the past 1 year. I've seen a hope in Benue because of the present administration.
Okay, I can't hear you anymore. Maybe you might want to increase your audio or.
Yeah. Hello?
Yes, yeah, I can hear you now.
Can you hear me now? Okay,
yes, I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Okay, no. Okay, yeah. I was saying that I've seen a hope. I've seen a hope in Benue State because for the past 1 year, looking at the involvement of the state government or the state governor, how he's bringing in touching some grassroots areas that matters in the growth or development of the state. You know, looking at it has been so many years that you hear that the government has reached farmers with fertilizers and all that for them to farm, subsidize all those products for them to farm. You know, there was a lot of joy and all that. And looking around when you go to the states, to the state capital, and come to other local government, you can see the physical development. You know, so there's a little hope. There is a hope. There is a hope. At least we can say the present governor has a vision, and has a focus. So despite everything there was no hope before, and it seems there was no vision. Even he's trying. So personally, I can say there's a little hope. There's a hope. There's a hope in a little while we can have a direction or where to follow and where to go, unlike before. So I think there is a hope, and soon there will be a path to follow as the present government is moving and doing things.
Okay, I hear a lot. I hear a lot of optimism. I hear a lot of there is hope, and all that. And so
Yes.
one thing I would like to draw our attention to most of the time, one thing I would like to draw our attention to is that most times when the question is asked, where do you think Benue State is headed? Most people think that question is particularly to the government alone. But that isn't just the case, because the government cannot do it alone. The government also needs a feeding ground, right? The government also needs a fertile land to operate. I mean, there needs to be an enabling environment for that to happen, enabling environment in the area of politics, in the area of education, in the area of agriculture. If you have mining activities that are supposed to be going on in the state, you need all of that to be happening. You need the social acceptability index of metrics to be very high for a lot of things to happen, so that when policies are brought, these policies can actually boom very, very well. So I think it's time that most of the time it's time if we try to expand this conversation to mean not just what the government is doing, but to also what the people are also doing, right? I bet you that if you try to look deep into what the people are doing, you see that a lot of things might show that we are not really, really headed anywhere yet, right? It's possible that from the masses, you will find out that we are not heading in the right direction. It's also possible that you check the masses and you realize that we are heading in the right direction, right? So because I hear people's I was talking to someone the other day, and the person said, if the governor continues paying salaries and does not do any other thing at all, I mean, he's the best governor. And I asked why. I say, okay, what do you do? He's a civil servant, right? So you see that for him, salary payment means that the government is doing so well. But what if the government pays salary for the next 8 years, and then we don't have any companies, we don't have any foreign investment in the state, we don't have any internally generated revenue that will boost the economy of the states to be able to supplement what the federal government brings. Now that autonomy is going to the LGs, you see that a lot of the budget that used to come to the state goes to the LG. So it leaves the state with something less of what is going to the LGs, right? So what about that part, right? So what about people who will make it easy for the LGA chairman to be able to function? What about the stakeholders, right? The enabling environment that the stakeholders should provide so that the government can also operate. So it's time that we expand that conversation beyond just what the government is doing, right? The government might decide to be doing a lot of subsidy and all, but then the people may not really be making the environment so enabling for the government to be able to operate, right? So, well, I appreciate your thoughts, and then I would like us to move to the next part, where we'll have the question and answer session with the panelists. And then our panelists, I mentioned them before. So I will go into these questions, right? And then I'll pick them to respond. And we'll make sure to manage our time. The allowance for this session on Zoom is 40 minutes. What we will do is, if that time expires, we'll log off, join again, and then maybe take like 10, 15 extra minutes to just wrap up the conversation, because we have just like a little of 16 minutes to finish this particular round. Then we'll now join again and then continue. Now, the first question here is, what do you think is the biggest challenge facing Nigerian society, especially in Benue State? So I'll start with you, Amos, because your conversation was a bit going to touch to this. So this is the time for you to respond to this question. I like the line of thought that I heard earlier. So do you mind responding? What do you think is the biggest challenge facing Nigerian society?
I think leadership. I think leadership is a problem, and disregard for rule of law. You see, there's no country, there's no community, there's no gathering of people that can progress without a visionary leadership and regard for rule of law. We are not animals. Even in the animals kingdom, there are rules, and when the rules are not obeyed, there cannot be peace, there cannot be development. So leadership is a problem. Firstly, even our recruitment process, the process of recruiting leaders, is not for the purpose, as it stands today in Nigeria, is not for the purpose of bringing any development. Some people prefer a particular person who they believe will secure their interest, sell the person to the people, And because of some factors around, they have their way. Because we have weak institutions. There are no regard for rule of law, so the institutions are weak. The person's case through, and they continue to break the rules of engagement. I give you an instance now. You see courts in this country give orders. People don't respect the orders. Why? Nothing will happen. Because the man who is at the aim of affairs, who is supposed to enforce the orders of court, is their boy got there because of this politician or that politician. So will he enforce the court order against his principal or against the person that gave him the job because he didn't merit the job in the first instance? No. So you see, there's no leadership. And I so much like what my brother said, Benson, I guess. He said, there is no plan. People come to office, they don't have blueprint. They just write this blueprint. They engage some people to write the blueprint. You don't see them working based on their blueprints. Look, today in Benue State, you can't tell whether this is the ruling party or this is the opposition party. There is opposition in the ruling party. There is the ruling party in the opposition. There is a ruling section in the opposition. There is an opposition in the opposition. For goodness sake, that is not democracy. That is grabbing. It's a free for all. People just go there to grab what they can grab. And so the people will suffer. Now, if you ask me, the biggest challenge, we are facing in Nigeria is leadership. And I once had a discussion with you and I told you that, look, if there is a policy that is not working, is either the person who is implementing the policy got the policy wrong or the implementation is got wrong. And that stops at the table of the leader. A good leadership gives purpose to the people. A visionary leader gives the people purpose and drives them to achieve the purpose. So you cannot say the people, in your introduction, you say, what will the people do? Yes, the people are like a ground. It depends on what you farm there. I know that our people too need to change in their orientation. But who drives the orientation of the people? It's leadership. If we have a good leadership in place in Nigeria, in Benue State, that is visionary. And I don't know, I don't want to sound political here, but in any association, any gathering of people, once the leadership is gotten right, I tell you the truth, people begin to fall in place. Why is it that Nigerians go abroad and obey rules? Why is it that Nigerians go abroad and pay their tax? Why is it that Nigerians go abroad and they behave differently? Leadership. Because they know that there. Thank you.
All right. That's very, very outstanding. Leadership, amazing. Wonderful contribution. Right. Thank you. So we have 5 minutes now. At the end of these 5 minutes, we will just log off and then just refresh our phones and then join the same link again. And then we'll have like 15 to 20 minutes to do the conversation. I'm hoping that will be enough for us. We might not be able to exhaust everything today, but at least this is a step in the right direction. And then the other ones will also come in the subsequent conversation. Okay, so the next question, I'll combine both of them. And then I would like Sarah Moses to respond. The question the number 2 is saying, why do you believe youth should be actively involved in policies at the local government level? And then what strategies can young people use to influence political decision-making in their communities? Sarah Amos, if your network is strong and permit you to speak, maybe you will like to respond to this. So I'll move to the next person. You have 5 minutes and then we'll go off and join again. Okay. Right. Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Okay. First of all, I want to apologize. I was a bit late. I was rushing from work to home to join this meeting. And so far, so good. The conversation has been really, really impactful, I must say. Why do you believe youth should be actively involved in politics at the local government level? Well, This is a very big question and very straightforward because that is the grassroots. Now, you know, in recent now, the our politics, especially, I'll bring it down to Benue, where I'm somehow involved, where I know so much, has been has been what I don't want to pronounce politics because especially at the local government level, it has been selection. Now, most of the times we allow these people make choices for us. They decide for us because we are not actively involved. And to some extent, in the past administration, I had the opportunity to engage one or two youths, and the problem was that they don't have a voice because it's a selection. Now, the youths have to be actively involved because one, this for me, it's like where it all starts, and then you begin to groom whatever you have within your immediate, starting with your family first, and then it goes out to your community like that at the local government level, and then with the right mentality and all of that, you are able to affect other local governments, affect the state in general. So I strongly feel, or rather I strongly believe that if the youths are actively involved at that level, not minding the selection process, not minding, and of course, this is as a result most times because we are not united as youths, we are not actively involved. We don't have a voice, a collective voice that we can actually shake the table, shake the ground, make some noise, and all of that. So it gets to not having a voice at all on the side of the youths. But if the youths are actually involved with one voice in that unity, all of that, there is no way their voices will not be heard. And it digs deep. I think it's especially now. I don't have so much time. I really want to exhaust a lot on this particular why youth should be involved. I want to come back to the youth now, especially the Gen Zs and all of that. Why they feel they cannot be involved, and one or two persons may know me, Jerry, especially you. You know how passionate I am about youths, about involving youths. I'm always having conversations with youths. I have groups where youths are actively involved, and I always get to say these things, especially as it concerns building, starting from where you are. Could be the classroom, could be your immediate community, could be even within your family, and spreading your tentacles with the right mindset, with the right. If every youth is actively engaged in all of that, and it affects your immediate local governments, and which is the grassroots for whatever